Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Tommy Atomic Rodriguez, your friendly neighborhood Hookahologist. How's it going? So, what do we got to talk about today? Well, if you guys can hear the music in the back, it's the Avengers soundtrack. Because if you read the title, you know what we're talking about. It's another Hookah and movie reviews about the Avengers Endgame, the 22nd movie in Marvel's history. Wow, it's been a crazy 11 years, guys. I didn't really get into the MCU too much until I got a TV in my room and started buying movies for myself because I had a PlayStation at the time. So, bought them all in order. Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor, all of them. And then I just started going from there. I know the last Hookah movie review we did Shazam, but now we're doing the Avengers. I was gonna film this yesterday, but I was gonna do a review on the flavor I'm smoking right now, Static Starlight. We'll touch on that in a minute. As you can see, we're smoking out of my Sayoka Hookah with 3 cocoa earth coals. Right now I only have 2 on the bowl, 1 on standby. Smoking Static Starlight out of a Hookah John red clay bowl. So, oh my god, I just got back from the movies probably about an hour ago. We went at 2. I was in San Jose, so there was a lot of traffic on the way back. It was a 3-hour movie. Let me tell you, it did not feel like a 3-hour movie. That's for sure. Wow, that movie. That movie. Holy moly. If you know what, if you don't want spoilers, tune off of this now because I'm about to spoil the shit out of this movie. Start to finish. Oh my god. What could I say other than wow, I'm so amazed at what they did. The Russo brothers have pulled at my heartstrings for so long and they're not making Marvel movies for a while. Thank goodness, because I don't think I can take another movie like this. This one from wow. So many callbacks to so many different movies, and we saw Stan Lee's cameo, which was great. There's so many great moments. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the movie itself first, then we're going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about it. So starting off the fact, the movie opens with, let me just say, like, all the fan theories that were coming out, a lot of them were wrong. I was wrong because I thought Tony Stark was going to go into a coma, but we'll talk about him at the end. What happened to him? The bastards. And the people who you thought were going to die, half of you were right. Half of you were right. Wow. So the movie opens up with Clint with his family. He's teaching his daughter how to shoot arrows and everything. They're getting ready for, a little afternoon lunch. Hot dogs on the farm, which is cool. So it was, like I said, it starts off with Clint teaching his young daughter how to shoot arrows, and he makes a little joke calling her Hawkeye when she shoots, teasing to hopefully a Young Avengers movie, which would be awesome. And as he's going, he turns around telling his daughter, okay, let's go eat. Next thing you know, she's gone. You just see little particles of dust turning around, and then Clint turns around to talk to his wife, his other kids. Guys, what's happening? What's happening? They're gone. They're dusted. So it opens up like that. It opens up with an immediate tearjerker. Like, why would you do this to me? Oh my god, they were just they're gone. Like, this is the first 5 minutes of the movie, and they're gone. So that was a thing. Next, you see Tony Stark. What we see in the trailers, Tony Stark and Nebula are in their ship trying to get back to Earth, and Tony's losing hope. He teaches Nebula how to play, paper football, and they're just bonding a little bit. They figured out how to get the ship running for a little bit. He records his message to Pepper saying he's about to die and all this other stuff, and it's a real touching moment, which made me think, oh my god, they're going to kill off Iron Man in the first act of this movie, and it's just so crazy how they're about to start it. And next thing you know, we see Captain Marvel, if you've seen Captain Marvel, you know the end credit scenes shows them, you know, using the pager to figure out who the hell Fury is trying to call, and they call, you know, Captain Marvel, and Carol Danvers is just like, what the hell, what's going on? And then she goes out into space because you don't see that clip in the movie because obviously we know she's there, so she goes to find Tony and Nebula and bring them back to Earth. Where they're now Tony's looking sick. He's like, oh my god, he's so skinny in that. Like Robert Downey Jr. must have gotten prepared really hard, or they just made him look super skinny. Although I think they probably did the CGI effect instead. And then they're talking about, well, Thanos. Where is he? We found him. He's used the stones again. Which we see Tony and Cap have a moment where, okay, we got to finish this. And Tony's upset. And he's still not over the events of Civil War. So, which is a great, you know, nod to see that the tensions are still hot between the two. And they're arguing. They're like, we got to stop him. Tony's like, no, I'm not going. I can't do this. You want to go? Here, he gives him his chest plate for the nanotech technology for his, you know, newest suit. And he's like, you go. Goodbye. He goes into shock and he's put into sedatives. And then we see, you know, everyone going to the garden. It's alluded to. That's what Nebula explained where he was going to be. He's on a planet called the Garden. That's what it's called. And there we go to everyone getting in the ship and going straight towards Thanos. And at that time, it's Thor, Black Widow, not Hawkeye, Black Widow, Rocket, Nebula, Thor, and Cap, and Rhodey. Rhodey goes with them as well. They're like, okay. Rocket makes the joke like, who hasn't been to space anymore? Handful of people raise their hand, and then he's like, all right, just don't throw up on my ship, and goes. So they're all going to see Thanos now. So they go to the garden. Captain Marvel goes ahead, tries to recon. He's like, there's no one else on the planet besides him. So now they're all there. And Thor has a very big bone to pick because he messed up by not aiming for the head. So you see in the beginning, he's still traumatized by that. He's like, oh, I fucked up. I had the power to stop it, but I didn't. Hence, you know, why they're having the end game. So, sorry guys, I had to scratch my head. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, so they go there, and then Thanos is picking his dinner. He's getting stuff ready he's making, I guess, a soup. They make it look like. And then that's when Thanos starts to think about it. It's like something doesn't feel right. Next thing you know, everyone's bombarding him. And they finally have Thanos trapped. They're like, where are the stones? They see that his gauntlet is gone. Well, they see that his gauntlet's still on his arms, and when you see Thanos for the first time in this movie, he's looking like he's about to die. Like he's ended. He's like, oh, I'm defeated. And then that's when Thor chops off his arm with the gauntlet, and then he notices that the stones are gone. And he's like, where are the stones? Where are the stones? We got to undo this. Thanos is not laughing, but he's in pain, obviously, and he's saying, I got rid of the stones. He's like, you used the stones 2 days ago. I used them to destroy them because they're too big of a temptation to use again. And everyone's like, no, we can't undo this now. So, as they're all looking collectively what they're about to do, all you see is Thanos get his head chopped off by Thor with Stormbreaker. And then everyone looks at him and is like, what did you just do? Thor responds with a callback to, you know, Infinity War, I went for the head. So he beheads Thanos, and that's the end of that. And then you see Avengers Endgame is the title. And oh my god, that... Next thing you know, we jump 5 years forward. And by this time, half the universe, half of all life is gone. You know, we just don't see anything else. Anything else at all. And then next thing you know, Captain America is running a support group for people who've lost pretty much everything. And it's a callback to, to me, it was a callback to when Cap first met, Sam, and Sam was running a support group for, veterans. in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So Cap is now running a support group for people who lost their lives, and he's explaining we taken the first step. Like there's this guy who just went on a date, broke down, and Cap saying you took the first step, and that's you know a brave step for you, and everything else. Next thing you know, we go back to Avengers Mansion where we see Natasha, Black Widow talking to Rocket and Nebula, Rhodey, and Captain Marvel about what's next. What they're trying to figure out. So basically, she's running the Avengers team that's scattered all throughout the galaxy and the world, because well, what else is she gonna do? Captain Marvel says, well, you won't see me for a while because there's Earth wasn't just affected, the entire universe was affected. There are many worlds just like this one trying to, get their stuff back together. So she goes off and does that. Then Rocket and Nebula take off, and then Rhodey is talking to Black Widow, be like, all right, have you found Clint? Like, yeah, but it was a bloodbath. Clint has now taken the persona of Ronin, as we have all seen in the trailers, and we're all wondering where Clint was, and now we know he's on the run from everyone, because you lose your family, go on a mental break, you don't want to talk to anyone, and you don't want to see your friends because you don't want them to see you like that. So that's pretty much where that is. Next thing you know, Cap and Natasha have like a very, very touching moment, like, oh, when do we get to get our lives together, blah blah blah. We talk about moving forward, but we never move forward. So there was that, and next thing Ant-Man is just off, kind of off, not off screen, but Ant-Man comes back from the quantum realm. If you watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, you'll know at the end credit scene, everyone was dusted. And the underlying hero to get Ant-Man back was a rat. A rat, Ant-Man's van was in storage, and a rat came and, got him out on accident. And my buddy Ray, my boss, guy I work with all the time, he told me, watch, he's going to get back in some stupid way, and it's not even going to make any logical sense. I'm like, no way. There's got to be a way. Like, I thought Ghost was going to be able to get him out of there. I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and I'll admit that right now. A rat brought him back from the quantum realm, and I was like, what? That's stupid. And he was right. A stupid way to get him back. And I can't believe it. That was funny. So Ant-Man's now back trying to figure out what the hell just happened, because, he's in San Francisco trying to figure everything out. He's like, whoa, what's going on? Why is everyone, why the streets of San Francisco look terrible? Then he finds a memorial of everyone who vanished. And he's looking for his daughter. He's looking for Hank. I think he may have saw everyone else's name, but he's looking for Cassie. He wants to know if his girl is okay. Finds out he doesn't see her name. He sees his name. He sees Scott Lang has disappeared. So he goes home and to find an older version of Cassie, now wondering, oh my God, my dad's alive. Which leads him to go to New York. And then Natasha and Cap are just like, what the hell? Is this old footage? No, this is live. So they let him in. And Ant-Man has this crazy idea of like, okay, the quantum realm works so differently than everything else. We can actually, if we can figure it out, we could go back in time and get the stones first. Ant-Man doesn't know. If you watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, you know Scott Lang's not a genius. He's smart and he's a thief, but he's not a genius by any means. So, who do they try to get to help? They go to Iron Man. And then Iron Man, we see Tony Stark just chilling on a farm by a lake, not talking to Pepper, because Pepper was, off screen for a little bit. And then he's talking to his youngest daughter. Yeah, so he has a kid. Him and Pepper ended up having a life together, got married and everything else. And he's joking around with his daughter. We're like, oh, did you go into the garage and took mommy's stuff? He's like, oh, I made that for mom. He's like, oh, well, mom never wears what I buy her anyways. Jokes like that. It was a touching moment. And next thing you know, he's walking up to his farm, and guess who pulls up? Ant-Man, Black Widow, and Captain America. And he's like, okay, it's time to talk business. And Tony Stark is, at this point, like, he's not defeated. I want to say he's happy. that he has a life now outside of the Avengers. And after all the decimation, he's blessed enough to have a life still. So he's talking with them, and now they talk about how they have an idea, and Tony Stark's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then they go, okay, if Tony's not going to do this, who else do we have? They're like, well, there's only one other smart person we know, which is Bruce Banner. And the last time we saw Bruce Banner, him and the Hulk were not okay. You know, he was having performance issues and wasn't being able to get into everything. So next thing you know, we're like, okay, we got to go find Bruce. They find Bruce, and they find the Hulk at the same time, which gives us the first look at Professor Hulk. Bruce Banner and the Hulk have finally, came through their differences, and now he's a celebrity. He's like, yeah, he's taking pictures with kids and everything, and he's like Hulk out. He dabs a little bit. It was pretty cool. I liked it. I was enjoying it. So if Adrian Hunter from the AM Hookah podcast sees this, and if you've seen Endgame, if you haven't, well, you're about to be ruined because he pulled an Adrian and he did a dab. So Adrian, dab it out. Just dab it out. Who cares? Dab it out. So, yeah, Bruce Banner's now a celebrity a little bit. Sorry for the shaky cam, guys. I'm filming this on my iPhone. So, computer issues. Still trying to fix it, but, it happens. So now that we figured out, Bruce Banner's now trying to figure everything out. He's like, oh, that seems impossible. He's like, well, not too long ago, being the Hulk and being Bruce Banner seemed pretty impossible. Now look at you. And he's like, all right. He's wrangled into going to help everybody. So now they're running tests and everything, and while they're doing that, Tony's figured out time travel because he's Tony Stark and he figures out everything because that's how he does. That's how he rolls, my dudes. So he figured it out, and now he's talking to Pepper, like, I figured it out. I don't know if I should help. He's like, well, Pepper tells him, do it. He's like, I think I should just put a pin in this and sleep. He's like, but would you really get any rest? So he's like, okay, I know I need a help. So he goes and has a little joking moment, in the only way Tony Stark does. Making jokes with Cap, be like, all right, I figured it out. I'm here to help. Oh, by the way, he brings Cap his shield. So he's like, oh, my shield. He's like, don't tell anyone I didn't bring for the rest of the class. That was right there was true Tony Stark fashion. And next thing you know, they're all figuring it out, and now they go like, all right, do we have a full team? So they call back Nebula and Rocket, and then Natasha goes to find Clint. And right now we're seeing Clint full Ronin mode, going savagery out there, taking out a mob boss. And then he's like, I'll give you anything you want. As he's about to kill him, like, you can't give me what I want. And he kills him all. Takes him out. Then Natasha finds him. He's like, don't give me hope. I don't want to know it. He's like, well, I'm sorry I didn't bring you the hope earlier. We found a way. So now now here's where it gets that's pretty much the first act. And the first act was by far one of the, it started with such a downer. And I cannot get stressed this enough, like how down everybody was about this situation that they were all left in, after the aftermath of Infinity War. Get a little purge action going. So now everyone's like, okay, how are we going to do this? So they figured out how to go. They were like, we all saw the stones. Oh, by the way, before I even get into how they go do all this, we go to New Asgard, where the Asgardians finally came to Earth and found a new place of home, and they need to get Thor. They need somebody else. And Rocket and Banner go and get him. And Thor got overweight. He got, he's clearly upset about everything after the end of Thanos. He lost his brother. He lost everything. Thor, I think, lost probably the most in Infinity War. So the whole experience has got him feeling some kind of way. So he's, talking to Rocket, joking around. Like, no, I'm not going. He's like, oh, we need to get Thanos. Don't bring that name into this house, basically is what he says. Like, who killed him? Did you kill him? I'd kill him. I did it. So he's persuaded to go help with the promise of beer. With beer. Yep, that's how you get Thor to do anything. You offer him beer. Which brings us now to their plan. Their plan is to go get the stones. So they all realize that there's multiple points in time where you can get the Infinity Stones to fix this timeline. So they go back to the first Avengers movie. They go back to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And then there's a pretty 2 points in time where they really go, but they all separate because there are 3 teams. There's Tony Stark, Captain America, and Ant-Man, Natasha, and Clint, and then there's Rocket and Thor. So Rocket and Thor go back. Oh no, 4 events. So they go back to each points of time in 3 teams. So Captain America, Ant-Man, and Tony go back to the first Avengers movie where they realize there are 3 stones. Oh, actually, Bruce is with them too. So sorry, guys. So they're all going to the first Avengers movie. Natasha and Clint are going with Rhodey and Nebula to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And then Thor and Rocket go to Thor: The Dark World. So those were the 3 points where you can get all the stones at one time, basically. And they only have enough juice to do this once. So they cannot mess up. They cannot mess up at any time to get this. They have to get it right the first time. So I'm gonna go back to the long one at the end, which is the first team. And now, what happens is that after the third team of Natasha, Rhodey, Clint, and Nebula go to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, you see that they separate their ways, and Clint and Natasha are going to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. And we see the Red Skull again. They go up to it, like, all right, the soul needs a sacrifice. And then this is the first major death of the movie. And I say major death because, like I said, spoiler warning now. Get off of this video if you haven't already. Natasha and Clint are fighting about who's got to sacrifice himself to get the Soul Stone. Which brings to, they're saying, oh, I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do it. So Natasha starts to go, and then Clint stops her by shooting an arrow, and they're having a big old fight, and who gets to jump off the cliff to get the stone. And it looks like Hawkeye's about to sacrifice himself, and he jumps off. He's done it. He's gotten Natasha off of her game. Next thing you know, Black Widow jumps off, shoots a cable, saves Clint, and then they're holding on to each other, and Clint's like, no, it can't be you. It has to be me. It's like, no, it doesn't. Go back to your family. And he lets go, and Black Widow is the first casualty of this movie. And it was such an emotional part to watch 2 friends just fight it out, and then at the end, one only left. And then Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone. And at this point in the story, Thanos is dead, right? Because they go back to 2014 where the first Guardians happened, and what are they doing? They're getting the Power Stone from Peter Quill because he stole it from Morad? Yeah, Morad, and that's where, Nebula is figuring it out. And at the same time, Thanos is summoned Gamora and Nebula back to the ship, and this is past Nebula too. So there's 2 Nebulas in one timeline. So now, Nebula's now talking to Thanos, and they're planning on how they're about to get the stone, and then Nebula flips out and sees that future Nebula is en route to take the Power Stone, which is crazy, and Thanos has figured out a plan and accessed all the memory files of Nebula because you can't have 2 Nebulas share the same network, I guess, and now she's figured out all the plans. And that's where Thanos has figured out, oh, they're going to try to stop me. It is destiny. I have to do this. So he goes. He goes out and tries to stop them, which he captures. After they get the Power Stone, Rhodey goes back, and only Rhodey. And this is where she's like, oh, they figured me out, which they go back to the ship. More on that in a bit. Now, in the first team that goes back to the first Avengers movie, they realize they can get 3 stones at once. The Time Stone, the Mind Stone, and the Space Stone. All 3 in one spot at one time. So you see that they're going back. Cap and Iron Man with Ant-Man, they all go to the Avengers Tower where they're going to take the Space Stone and the Scepter from Loki. Well, Bruce goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York to get the Space Stone, but he thinks Doctor Strange is there. But knowing to his surprise, the Ancient One makes her debut appearance in this movie, coming back, saying, "Oh, you're about 5 years too early for Strange to have the Time Stone." Which is their big debacle. So Bruce is now arguing with the Ancient One to get the Time Stone. She's like, "No, I can't do it because it's go way Back to the Future, Back to the Future 2 style, where you're gonna make a new timeline for me." And Bruce says, "Oh no, that's not gonna happen because we're gonna bring the Time Stone back, blah blah blah." And he's like, "No, I can't leave it there." He's like, "Well, why would Doctor Strange, give up the Time Stone like he did in the first event in Infinity War?" And she's like, "What? Why would he do that?" And it's like, "Well, he must have done it for a reason." So she gives up the Time Stone. Back at Avengers Tower, Captain America and Iron Man are taking the other two stones, or at least trying to, at least. So Cap ends up retrieving the scepter from Sitwell and Crossbones, of all people. So they come back, which is fantastic because, we haven't seen them in Captain America Civil War. So I thought there was going to be a big old elevator scene where he goes into Rumlow. He gets in there with Rumlow, and they're just having the same kind of nervous tension like they did in Captain America with the Winter Soldier, where you think there's about to be a big fight. He's like, "Oh, I'm taking the scepter." He's like, "Oh no, that is like Director Pierce, the big villain in the big Hydra leaders. Like, they're like, 'Oh no, we're not giving it to you.'" He leans over to Rumlow and Sitwell, and he says, "Hail Hydra," which is a callback to the Secret Empire comic book, Secret Empire, which was a big debacle in itself. But they give him the scepter. Meanwhile, they're trying to get the Space Stone from Loki, and Tony Stark is dressed up as a security officer and tries to do everything to get it out, and he fails. There was a big misunderstanding there, and then they were like, "Oh, we lost the Space Stone. What are we going to do? Loki got away, the Space Stone is gone, everything else." So what did they do? They figured out that there's two ways. There's one way to save their plan where the Tesseract and more Pym particles are at. Because remember, we are only able to go back just one time because there's a shortage of Pym particles. So they go back to 1945 where another callback to the Winter Soldier, where they go to the base where they're trying to figure everything out. It's a secret shield base, basically. So Tony and Cap go back there, and all goes pretty easily. Like Cap gets Cap gets more Pym particles, while Tony Stark he does acquire the Time Stone, but there's only one hiccup, and it's a real great hiccup. In all actuality, Tony meets his father, a younger version of Howard Stark. And if you've been watching the MCU, which I'm sure most of you have, Tony Stark's relationship with his father was not the greatest. So he's now finding out that he's about to be pregnant. Well, his wife is pregnant with his son, and he doesn't know how to feel. And he's like, Tony's like, "Oh, I got a little girl." So, and they're having some fatherly bonding advice. And Tony finally got the closure that he always wanted with his father. And it's Iron Man's big arc where he's, trying to do that. Trying to have that closure with his father, which was another great moment of the movie. So they go back most of the times, and now the big twist to everything leading up to the final fight is that Nebula actually traded places with past Nebula. Past Nebula switched places with future Nebula, going back to the future and acquiring the stones, which was awesome, actually. So everyone is just now there. Nebula has her plan to get Thanos there and bring Thanos to the stones where he can, stop the Avengers, basically. So like I said earlier, it's his destiny to do this, which he believes is his destiny. So past Nebula infiltrates everything and brings Thanos to them. And There's a moment in there they're just talking about how they got the Soul Stones, like, oh, we can get her back, and talking about Black Widow. They can't get her back. The Red Skull said a soul for eternity. Which is crazy. So like I said, major death in the second arc, and they're just like, nope, can't do it. Can't bring her back. Next thing you know, we're having Thanos. They assemble a new gauntlet with Iron Man technology, and they're the only person who can really wear it and not die is the Hulk, because he's not only the strongest, his healing factor keeps him from dying. So he brings everybody back, and that's when, just when you think everything's over, Thanos comes through the quantum realm time jump and just decimates everything. He destroys it all, and he's like, no, I'm here. I want the gauntlet. It's time. And this time, everyone's scrambling to keep the gauntlet around, and then they finally come to this big fight where Thor did get the ether, but he also got something else. And if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. He gets a touching moment with his mom to say everything's going to be okay, and he gets Mjolnir back. Mjolnir is back in this movie, and oh my god, it was awesome to see him wield Stormbreaker and Mjolnir at the same time, and it was awesome. As all the Avengers get through the wreckage and try to talk about what's going on, we see that Nebula is trying to get the gauntlet. You see Outriders go for Clint. Well, Clint now has the gauntlet and trying to get it away from him. Thor, Captain America, and Tony are about to face Thanos for the last time. So they start fighting, and then before Thanos starts to get the gauntlet again, before he has all the power, there's this big fight. Everything's going on. Everyone's about to, wreak havoc. And which was the epitome to this fight before, Thanos, got to the end, was the fact that, sorry, I have to plug in my phone and go to a new angle here. Thanos is now fighting everybody, but Cap is not going down. He can do this all day. We all know this. Cap says it all the time. I can do this all day. We already know, blah, blah, blah. So Thor is now fighting Thanos, and that he only has Stormbreaker. Let alone they get a cut to where Mjolnir is being lifted and summoned to someone. And it's not Thor, I'll tell you that. It's Captain Monday to Friday America. Captain America is deemed worthy to hold Mjolnir, and then that fight scene between Thanos and Captain America was so much fan service, it's unfucking believable. Please forgive my French. I actually know, fuck it, I don't even care. Because goddamn, that moment where Captain America was just wielding Mjolnir and just going ham with his shield and Mjolnir at the same time, the combinations he had with it was unfucking believable. And Thor's like, I knew he was worthy. I knew it. And that was just crazy. Just when all else seems like it's about to go good, Thanos goes on the offensives, breaking Cap's shield into millions of pieces and fighting him off. And oh my god, that was crazy. And then next thing you know, Thanos summons his entire Chitauri army. He has everything's about to go his way. He's about to get the gauntlet. And then next thing you know, which leads to the biggest fight scene in Marvel cinematic history. Every single hero comes back. Every single one. Everyone who was dusted, you see just portals with their sling rings that Doctor Strange finally comes back and he's like, hey guys, I'm here. Peter Parker comes back, and that was, I'm not going to lie, I cried a little bit when I saw Spider-Man come back, because that was just such a sad death, and Tony was haunted by it the entire time. And oh my god, that was everything. So now it's just a giant fight with everyone. You see Wakanda fighting, you see plenty of sorcerers going at it. We see, who else? The Asgardians come back, and everyone's just fighting this giant army. Ant-Man's like knocking people out, knocking out the Chitauri, like what are they, dragon ships or whatever the fuck they are, just knocking them out. Janet Van Dyne's here, and they're just wrecking shop. Oh my god, that fight. And then we finally get the one line we've been craving every single fucking Avengers movie. Captain America just looks around everyone and says, Avengers? Tightens up his shield, his broken ass shield. Assemble! And everyone just fucking charges at this army. The Black Order's there, just kicking ass, taking names. The Guardians of the Galaxy are back, and it's just crazy. Nebula is now trying to escape with Gamora. Gamora is now, okay, great, we got this taken care of. And Gamora and Nebula are figured out that they're sisters in this time. And Gamora's like, yes, finally. Then they're going out to fight, and then past Nebula's trying to stop them. And then future Nebula just shoots her in the chest. Fuck it. Just takes her out. Which was a sad moment, but Nebula had her chance, in all fairness. Captain Marvel comes back, starts wrecking shop. And everyone's just going at it. Thanos gets the gauntlet. Thanos ends up having the gauntlet, and Captain Marvel's trying to stop him from snapping his fingers again. And while this is going on, everyone's fighting. Quill sees Gamora for the first time in forever. Well, for him, it's like been 10 minutes. And says, oh my god, you're alive. I thought I lost you. She kicks him in the nuts. Because this is past Gamora. He's like, what? What is going on? More on that later, probably for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But, oh man, that was crazy. Next thing you know, like I said, Thanos is trying to snap his fingers. And this leads to the second death in the movie. And it's one of the bigger ones. And it's crazy. I'll get to that in a second. So Captain Marvel couldn't stop him from snapping his fingers. Thanos gets the gauntlet, and you don't see the Infinity Stones. You just see his fingers, and he's about to... He snaps again. But nothing happens. Next thing you see is Iron Man has collected all of them. He jumped in, try to take him out, which we thought was he was trying to take him out. What he really went for was the Infinity Stones. And... in this great scene, everything's cooperating around. He's like, what? He's like, I am Iron Man. Snaps his fingers. And then all you see next is just Thanos and his forces just dusting away. Thanos is now looking around. Everyone's being dusted. All of his army, everything's being destroyed. And he's looking over. He's like, no, I lost. That look, he has a look in his face, and he dusts. And then using the gauntlet or using the Infinity Stones actually kills Tony. And that was such an emotional end to Iron Man. And I still can't get over the fact that they killed off Tony Stark. RDJ is done. He's no longer the MCU. He's gone. And that was just, oh my god. This is a 3-hour movie. It did not feel like a 3-hour movie. It felt like just a 2-hour movie. I just couldn't get over it. So the end of the movie goes back to Tony Stark, talking about, oh, everyone wants a happy ending, stuff like that. And it's a pre-recorded hologram of himself talking to everybody, basically. And they have Iron Man's funeral. Everyone's still kind of sad. Everyone's going back home. And we see that Peter's now gone back to school. He sees Ned for the first time. Ned's in tears. Everyone's kind of happy. Nick Fury's there. Captain Marvel's there. Everyone's there just watching Iron Man's funeral. And it's a very touching moment. We also get a callback to the kid in Iron Man 3 who was Tony's buddy and helped him with his PTSD a little bit. And he's even there, which is great because he was such a great supporting character in that movie. In the Iron Man movies, that Iron Man 3 is just like the redheaded stepchild of that little portion, but it's okay. Like that, everything just kind of cultivated into one spot. Now they have to take the Infinity Stones back. So this is where Captain America has made it his mission to now go back and change it and put the stones back. And Bruce is manning the computer and everything. He's like, all right, you're going to be gone and take as long as you need, but you're going to be back in like 5 seconds with us. So he goes back. Sam and Bucky are waiting for him to come back, but he's gone. Captain America didn't come back. But that's when Bucky notices a person over there. He's like, Sam, look over there. They see an old man just sitting there. So Sam goes up to him and he realizes it's Captain America. Captain America has found a place. He's found love. He went back in time and had a wife. And then he hands over the shield to Sam. He's like, it's yours now. He's like, I don't know if I can man up to it. He's like, well, that's why I'm going to do my best to be Captain America. He's like, well, that's why I'm giving it to you. Which was cool because I thought that Bucky was going to be the one who takes the mantle of, you know, Captain America, but they're now playing him as the White Wolf, and Sam's going to be the next Captain America, which is kind of cool, which kind of plays into the Bucky and Falcon series that's going to be on Disney Plus. Wanda Maximoff fought Thanos, and that was a great fight. That part too, she's like, another thing about that final fight, they actually highlight all of the female characters that came together in one shot. You see Okoye, you see Shuri, Janet Van Dyne, Valkyrie, even Pepper Potts gets a suit and starts wrecking shop in there too. And then they all go after everybody, and it was just such a great, that final fight was such a great scene itself. And wow. So, Captain America's old right now. And Sam's like, oh, you gotta tell me better? He's like, no, I think I won't. Which goes back in time a little bit. We're showing where Captain America got his happy ending. He got to live his life with Peggy. So what else? We actually got a very, very great movie. It was such a heart-wrenching toads. I hate the Russo brothers so much for doing that to me. They pulled on my heartstrings too much, and they're not making Marvel movies for a while, which is good because I'm tired of them playing with my emotions. What I loved most about the movie is how everything kind of, after these 11 years watching all of these movies, how it ends, and the Infinity Saga is over now, and it's just such a peaceful time for the most part. I really did, like, my favorite part has to be the fight scene with Thanos and Captain America, where he is wielding Mjolnir. And that was probably one of the better spots for that. That's just, seeing Captain America be worthy, wielding Mjolnir and just wrecking shop was awesome. The next thing I want to say, my next favorite part is just how, basically how the whole movie came together. Like I said, it didn't feel like a 3-hour movie. All these pieces kind of play together, and it brought a lot of highlights to all of the Marvel movies that have come before it, all 21 movies previous to Endgame, and that was great. The one thing I did not like is that they didn't have enough Captain Marvel in it. Brie Larson's Captain Marvel did not play as big as a role as I thought she was going to be. Yeah, she brought Tony back to Earth, and she came for the final fight, and she was only in the movie for around about 10, maybe 15 minutes, which was kind of annoying to me. So, I mean, they made their decision. I'm not the Russo brothers. I can't take credit for what they do, but that was probably a letdown for me. Like, that was kind of stupid that they didn't have enough, Captain Marvel in the movie. But other than that, that movie was just, oh my god. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, go see it yourself. Leave a comment in the comment section below how you thought about it. And let's have a discussion about this, guys, because, oh my god, that movie is everything. Anyways, guys, to find me on Instagram and on Twitter, go under _Hookaholigst. So like and subscribe to this video, and find me on Facebook. Either look at this beautiful face on Tommy Rodriguez and follow the Hookaholigst page, which is also on Facebook. And until next time, guys, Avengers Assemble.